The thousands in attendance and the millions watching around the world. Ladies and gentlemen, let's get ready to rumble!
Welcome back to Lessons for Life. It's official. Well, I think it's official. Mike Tyson to face Evander Holyfield for the third time. How about that, Andre McIntyre, former Muay Thai cruiserweight world champion?
Hello, my friend. How is everything?
I'm doing okay. I can't wait for this third fight. The first two were bad enough, weren't they, for Mike Tyson? Why is he getting back in the ring with Evander Holyfield, the real deal?
I'm actually shocked that Holyfield has agreed to fight.
Well, has he agreed? It's all speculation. I know rumours travel very fast, but I think Evander Holyfield is in better shape than Mike Tyson. I know he's older, but he's retired more recently and led a less punishing lifestyle. My money would be on Evander Holyfield. Yeah. What do you think?
I agree with you.
Oh, great. Well, that's that conversation over, isn't it? I always phone you up for an argument. We end up agreeing. Oh, come on, all right, I'm going to argue the toss. Oh, come on. Mike Tyson's looking really good. Did you see how fast he was on the pads for 30 seconds? He looks incredible. The guy's back. People just want to believe the hype, right? We have rose-tinted spectacles.
Look, right, on the serious note, the situation is like this. Tyson, my toss-up on the fight is a 60-40, really. But it is swaying towards a 70-30 in favour of Holyfield.
Yeah. He has to be the favourite. Go on, Andre, what's the reason?
No, basically, look, Holyfield won the first two fights. Controversial one, obviously, but I can't technically. I don't know. Look, I like Mike Tyson. I like a lot of fighters. There's a lot, you know. I sometimes people put me on the spot and say, "Who's your favorite fighter?" I don't like playing that game because, you know, we were the golden era of boxing. Saw hundreds. You know, there's a top of top box. You know, wanted to call one over the other. Sin, right? Holyfield really has, you know, his work, and again, that's wrong to call on his work ethic because it sounds like the other boxers didn't have a work ethic. But there's something about Holyfield.
Andre, let's face it, fighting somebody in your 50s is completely different from 20 years previously. Do you not think there should be maybe an age limit to professional boxing? I know there is in amateur boxing. I believe in the Olympics is the cut-off point 34 or 35. They do have an age limit. And in some of the grappling arts, they have a senior category or a master's class. Why not? I mean, I know Tyson and Holyfield are both in their 50s. Maybe that's fine to let them fight. But if Mike Tyson, as it's saying here, will only get back in the ring to fight a bona fide boxer, there's a chance that he could seriously get hurt. And who does that benefit?
If he's getting back in the ring to ages him, I don't think the conversation has any relevance. If we're going to start talking about him fighting fighters in their prime, we've got issue. But again, he is a legend, so it's all about management. You know, I think what he needs to do is to just get in and say, look, I'm back to enjoy boxing. If he comes back and says, I'm just back to enjoy boxing, then, you know, he's not putting any restrictions on him or any hype on him. You know, people ain't going to expect to see him back to fight Fury or to fight Deontay Wilder or to fight AJ. They're just going to take the roadshow as it is. You know, Mike Tyson coming back to enjoy boxing. You know, he's not... And then depending on how well that goes with him picking certain fighters to fight against and winning, then if he wants to turn around and say, you know what, I'm going to challenge for the heavyweight belt, then he does so. But I think he needs to come back and say, listen, I'm back to enjoy boxing. Don't start saying, oh, I've come back to shake up the world, blah 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 blah, because that kind of hype is a bit of a problem for him at 53. Do you understand? So if he's coming back and he's going to fight people at the same age as him, or if he's going to just say, oh, I'm going to enjoy boxing, and you'll see him fighting somebody who's 30, 29, whatever, you know, like national champion, so to speak, like an all-American champion or a British champion, and then he's fighting people of that level or less, then I don't see a problem.
All right, if I can make it personal for a minute, you're somebody who's gone back to competing in your 40s, and I think you had a while out of the ring, right, or the cage, having fought Muay Thai and K1, and you were in a scenario when you wanted to come back, you almost have to go straight back into the deep end because of your name, because of your caliber. People aren't going to take into account of where you're at that moment. It's the name Andre McIntyre. They're going to put you in at a top level. How do you ease yourself back into a sport if you're not in your absolute peak anymore?
It's a hard one, isn't it? But to be fair, no, you know what? Thinking about it, it's not actually hard. I think for me, it's different. Obviously, I'm not Mike Tyson. Yes, I was a world champion at my sport, but the sport isn't as credited as it is as boxing. But Mike Tyson is a different kettle of fish. For me, it's easy because there's people always who want to prove themselves. So you got all these up and coming fighters, but you know, in our sport that would fight me regardless, because they think it'll be a good name to put on their dossier.
Of course.
Mike Tyson, he's still got that situation where fighters will challenge him, but like you said, it's a little bit different with that sport. Do you understand? It's a hard one. I think he can ease himself in it. There are people. The thing with boxing, which is a lot more relevant in boxing than it is in my sport, is there's more journeymen. There are people that you can pay whose record and all that would fight Mike Tyson. Do you understand? Or there's people who are up and coming who would fight Mike Tyson, who Mike Tyson could still beat, judging by his pad work. Do you understand? It's easier, actually.
Judging by his pad work. But pad work is not how you judge a fighter, right? I can look great on the pads. I'm not going to take on Mike Tyson, no matter how old he is. You can look great on the pads for 30 seconds. A championship bout is 12 rounds long. It's a different game, right?
This is what I'm saying to you. If he's going to go back in there, he needs to come back. That's exactly right. But that's why I'm saying to you, he needs to come back and say, I'm coming back just to enjoy the sport. Yeah. Don't hype up anything.
Well, that's why I think you need to have a over 50s category.
Judging by his pad work, right, you know, a fighter can pick up on certain things. And there is certain things that he's doing on his pad work which shows he is still sharp. Do you understand? Yes, you're right. If you're going to start talking about, but there is also certain things that you cannot pick up on 30 seconds of pad work, and that is stamina, obviously. But judging by his pad work, was in shape, and that a fighter to be challenging and fighting that kind of technique I saw on them pads. If it's a stamina situation, then you can't tell that from pads, but you can tell sharpness from pads.
Why is boxing, and to a larger extent the fight game, the only type of sport where people believe in this idea of a comeback? No footballers that have been out of the game for 5 years think, I'm just going to slip back into the Premier League. Pele at 70 isn't putting in an appearance at the World Cup. Those athletes don't do it. I think boxing and martial arts only have it because everyone wants to believe the hype and they want to believe in the lucky punch. And a training camp is 3-4 months long. You've got all that time and all that hype to build it up. The Don Kings will make their money and the athlete gets in the ring like Ricky Hatton did after a short layoff and was not the beast that he was before. Joe Louis tried to come back and never recaptured the heavyweight title. And Rocky Marciano said, if Joe Louis could not do it, I will not attempt it. And he retired 49-0 and no one ever beat that record at heavyweight. I think it's a myth that boxers want to believe, because we all, but like, if you've been in the ring, and I'm sure you can still go at it. You proved it last time out, but you must know yourself. It will be impossible to get back to the level that you were at. I know people like George Foreman did it, but again, it's that lucky punch. That is the exception, not the rule, surely.
Right, to answer your question, why don't footballers do it? Right, well, football is a different sport. Football is about agility. Football is about speed. Football is about strength. You're talking about 12 fighters. You're talking about 12 players on the pitch, right, who have to be in shape. Do you understand? And at that top level, you know, you can't just say, "Oh yeah, my skills are going to control that side of the pitch," because it doesn't work like that. You need all your skills sharpened. You need your fitness, your stamina. You need your fitness, your strength, and your skill set to be on point in order to dominate the midfield or defense or striking. You need to be able to have your stamina to back you, and you need to be quick on it. Now, as you know, I can vouch for this and say straight, but when somebody hits a certain age, your knees start to go, your joints start to go. Do you understand? Mm-hmm. And I think football has more wear and tear on your body, believe it or not, than boxing does.
It's also a sport that you play every week. I think that's a factor, right, Andre?
Right. The amount of athletes, the amount of up and coming kickboxers I've trained that have done football alongside, and I'm telling you now, they've picked up more injuries from football than they did sparring with us like in the gym. You know,
I can believe it.
Had to retire from fighting because of sport, because of boxing injuries. Do you understand? Yeah. Sorry, because of football injuries, right? It is more wear and tear, and the injuries are ligament based, right? That is completely different. You're better off breaking your bones than ACL damage, reconstructions, and there's certain things you just can't. And you know what you're saying when you come back from that. Now, when it comes to boxing, it's different. If providing you haven't lost the speed of your punch, and you haven't lost your combination and your coordination, it's all about. There's only so much somebody's jaw can take before it shatters. Right, so yes, somebody can take a punch without getting knocked out, but if you're hitting like how Mike Tyson hitting, your brain can take the shot, but he will shatter your jaw, and that's the situation with a lot of fighters right about now. Your bones can only take so much, or your jaw can only take so much damage before the fight's called off. So. I think that is one of the reasons why the big comeback does work. Now, you mentioned certain fighters there and said, oh, but they didn't make it on the way back. Well, I can also mention other fighters who did make it coming back. You know, I didn't hear you mention Bernard Hopkins. I didn't hear you mention.
Although, but Bernard Hopkins, Foreman did. He did come back. He is the standout exception to the rule. Hopkins wasn't so much that he came back. He just carried on, right? He was active all those years. He didn't have the long layoff. I think it's the layoff. Once you take your foot off the pedal in sport, it can be a long journey back. Is that not a factor?
You are right with that. I can't deny that. You are right with that. If providing you're staying active and you're staying current, it does change things. That's for sure.
Hopkins is a very disciplined athlete. He really took care of his body. He didn't go on binge drug abusing, etc. Really a disciplined athlete. That's what I recall of him.
But that's not the case with Foreman.
No, not the case with Foreman, true, and definitely not the case with Iron Mike Tyson. But we forget Foreman did have a long sort of journey back. He came back, but it wasn't even his first shot at the title that he won the world title back, was it? Didn't he lose to Holyfield, I think, somewhere along the way?
Oh, yeah. No, he won it, didn't he? He won it against
Michael Moorer, yeah. He won it Michael Moorer with something of a lucky shot.
And then lost it to, I don't know if it was lucky shot. I think it was just heavy-handedness.
Yeah, the power that never goes. It is the last thing to go. What about the mental aspect of the fight game? Because over the years, I don't think my fitness has got better. I'm definitely not as fit as I was in my teens and my early 20s when I caught the bug and I was waking up at 6 a.m. to go running and thought, yeah, I'm going to get myself really fit because then I'll do well. And any time I got in the ring, I would go crazy and have the adrenaline dump and be nearly gassing out. I'd come back and sit on the stool after the first round and be like, what's happening? I was fit as a fiddle, but I wasn't mentally fit. The last few times that I've been out, whether it's been K1 or MMA, I have been completely in the zone. I've been really calm. I know my cardio level is not what it was, but my mental fitness and my lack of panic and being able to think under pressure has given me an extra gas tank that I never had as a youngster. Is that part of the fight game? And fighters like Hopkins, who were a very conservative, break down the fight, make it go at a slow pace, slow sort of fighter. Do we evolve our fighting brain more as we get older? And we've said it on this show before, the fight game is 80% mental. I don't know if you agree with that stat, but it's a factor, right?
I can't tell you the last time I got stressed in a fight, in the actual fight. I've been stressed pre-fight. I've just been stressed pre-fight.
The only stress I've seen you under is when you're having to corner one fighter and then fight yourself minutes later. You were coping with all kinds of pressure.
Exactly. But did I look stressed when I got in the ring?
I've never seen you stressed at all, I don't think. You're not really... Wow. You have that inner peace that I think can be attained through martial arts.
I can get stressed, trust me. I can lose my temper. I can get stressed. But I think what it is I just don't... I feel very comfortable fighting. I don't know how to explain that to people. I find that very hard to explain to people sometimes. But a lot of people, if somebody was coming at them with a baseball bat or something like that, or if there was in the middle, they would panic. But for me, I don't find that. It's like, oh, you're coming at me with a baseball bat. Do you know what I mean? I can't explain it.
I compare it to being in the eye of the storm. That is when you are calm. I was stressed before competing. I will be very nervous until I'm on my way to the ring. That's when I completely shut down and I am in that calm zone. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe you feel at home being under attack and you feel anxious waiting for it to happen.
Yeah, definitely.
rather than it actually happening.
When I was up and coming, I used to get nervous because what it was is I didn't want to let my fans down and I didn't want to let people down. And I've always believed in fighting for your corner. So the people who put effort to get me there, I didn't want to let them down. Right? I love to see the smile on, my corner's face when I win and stuff like that. And I'm really funny about things like that. So I don't like losing. So that stresses me out for big fights and stuff. But when I've prepared properly, you can tell me anything you want before the fight. I'll laugh in your face. Like, if you're Andre, you're going to get beat, or you can make jokes like that and all of this stuff, and I'll laugh because I know when I've prepared properly and I feel it and I feel, and I don't mean this in a disrespectful way, but I reckon I could beat Satan. You know what I mean? Once I said that to Barber one time, and he gave me a funny look, but I feel like, I don't know, I just feel like I could beat down spirits.
Yeah, maybe, well, that's confidence. Maybe that's how Mike Tyson is feeling at the moment.
Yeah.
Whether it's true, we'll find out. I hope he doesn't get injured. I hope he doesn't get hurt.
Yeah, so... But let me tell you what I didn't like about his pad work. And I wasn't going to say nothing about this until probably hours before the fight, because I was going to make one of my Mystic Mac predictions.
Oh, no, you're going to give his opponent some clue now.
Well, remember, it was on your show first, you heard it, but I don't like the fact that, and again, it might just be, it's early days, so I don't know, but he looks like it's the old Tyson, old technique. If he's coming back in the ring to fight Holyfield, or if he's coming back in the ring to fight any fighter, he needs to add to his peekaboo technique. If he's expecting to bang out everybody with the same peekaboo technique, then he's going to need to be fighting not bums, but non-intelligent fighters. He would, that technique does not frighten me anymore. Tyson's power would frighten me a little.
Yeah. Do you think the sport has evolved beyond that?
I've got about 3 different ways I could defeat that. Not beyond that, but that's a hard one to say. Basically, his technique of fighting is dangerous, but it can't just be that technique, if that makes sense. He needs to add to it. He needs to have the ability to switch from SAS to, toe-to-toe, to peekaboo, to southpaw. Tyson coming out round 1, round 2 in peekaboo, and then round 3 coming out in southpaw. Now, wouldn't that be something to see? Oh
yeah. He was amazing at what he did, but he did lack variety.
Now, it could be argued, but he doesn't need variety with the ferociousness of how he fights. But if you sit down and watch, this is why I have to smile when I see things like when people put up things about Tyson and Evander Holyfield. Evander Holyfield, if aliens was to arrive on Earth today and say, give me an example of every sportsman, I personally would pick Evander Holyfield for boxing. And I'm not saying that we haven't been gifted, like I said earlier, with thousands of brilliant boxers. What I'm trying to say to you is there's something about Holyfield. He's textbook, right? And he's a thinker. That guy, and I know obviously he's older now, but his ability to understand the sport and to break down. He didn't beat Tyson. He beat Tyson. There's a difference. Do you understand? He had a technique for every punch that Tyson threw. He knew if Tyson rocked left to throw the body shot, he's going to drop take the shot on his elbow, and then stand up and then throw his hook before Tyson could return the hand back to his head. Textbook perfect. He knew if Tyson throws the overhand bowler right, he's going to swerve and hit him with the uppercut and then hit him with the left hook. He was textbook.
If Holyfield had beaten.
Then he done other things, such as when Tyson came in trying to bully him in, he said, "I'm going to dip my head and bully him back." Right? And that's how he ended up headbutting him.
Ended up headbutting him. Yeah. They do say he used to use his head a lot.
Watch the fight. When Tyson came in, right, and got into that pocket, he was wrapping Tyson up from his elbows, right, and pushing him back. Textbook perfect technique to fight the peekaboo. Textbook perfect.
I know Holyfield is top 10 all-time great, maybe even top 5. Had he managed to beat Lennox Lewis, how much more do you think that would have boosted his legacy? Because they had a draw, which everyone thought Lewis was robbed of the win. Then Lewis won the second match and they thought justice has been done. Were it not for those two fights going that way, I think Holyfield would be remembered as an absolute all-time legend, even more so than he is already. And don't forget, he was a unified cruiserweight champion before he even moved up to heavyweight. So he's not even the biggest of heavyweights, and he was competing with the all-time greats.
Listen to me. I'm not even going to entertain this conversation. Evander Holyfield's legacy is written in stone. He will die with a golden tombstone. Evander Holyfield was the real deal in name and by nature and by spirit. It doesn't matter he lost those two fights to Lennox Lewis. It is what it is. He also lost fights against Riddick Bowe, right? But I'm telling you now, the man will go down as a warrior. And you know, I don't even know if it's right to say that he lost them fights against Riddick Bowe. I'm not even sure it's right to say that he lost them fights against Lennox Lewis. Yes, he was technically beaten in those fights, but right, you know, he reminds me of Nigel Benn. When they come out for war, and even if they lose, you got to give them a standing ovation, even when they walk out the ring, because you know, when they walk out the arena, you still got to give them a standing ovation.
And he finished those fights on his feet, am I right? He was never stopped by either of those individuals. He finished on his feet, right?
I think he got knocked out by Riddick Bowe.
By Bowe, okay. I know he went the distance with Lewis. He went to the points. Okay, maybe.
I remember him hitting the floor in one of them fights.
Riddick Bowe's another enigma. He's a mystery to me. Why he put the title in the bin and didn't want to fight. I don't know.
Yeah, to me, Riddick Bowe was a good fighter, but I wouldn't include him. You see, this is the weird thing about boxing. He beat Evander Holyfield, right? The real deal. And I still wouldn't rank Riddick Bowe in the top 20. I wouldn't. Weird, isn't it?
And, achievements are about more than who you beat and who you lost to. It's about what you achieve over a career, I suppose.
The tortoise beat the hare in the story.
Very well said.
You know, would you put the tortoise down as an all-time great sprinter?
That is superb. Absolute wisdom from Aesop's fables. Oh man.
You know, so that's how I kind of see it. You know, you can win certain fights, but it doesn't make you a winner, if that makes sense.
That's right. And as one of the great.
I had a fight. Sorry.
No, go on, Andre.
I had a fight back in the days, 2004. At the time, I was ranked number 1 in all major federations around the world. I held a couple of world titles No, did I hold a world title at the time? Yeah, I held a couple of world titles at that time as well. Now, why I'm saying that is because I then got asked to fight for a Commonwealth belt. I don't know why they asked me to do that. I think because it was an up-and-coming federation at the time and they didn't sanction world title fights. They only sanctioned intercontinental belts. So they asked me to fight for one. So I said, okay, I'll take the fight. And it was to fight a fighter which had pulled out a fight in me 3 times before. I'll say his name, Eddie McLean. And Eddie McLean was the current or former British heavyweight champion at the time, right? He was a bit of a banger, former boxer, bit of a banger. And they asked me to fight, but he pulled out 3 times for fighting me before. So I said, yeah, I'll take the fight. Now, to be fair, I didn't really think the fight was going to happen because of all these pullouts. But this time, I was told, yeah, he's going to take the fight. And I was in my prime at the time. My dad died 2 weeks before the fight. And I should have really cancelled the fight, but I went ahead with it. And Eddie was quite aggressive with his techniques. He was a bit of a banger. However, he didn't really rock me. I was used to taking them shots because I've had so many hard fights previous to that fight. So I was a veteran. And I don't know what happened. I saw a fighter called Kenny Gale sat at ringside, but for a minute, it looked like my dad.
No way.
So yeah. So I thought that was my dad at ringside. So I took my eyes just for a split second off of Eddie to look across, thinking it was my dad sat at ringside. I threw an elbow at the same time as taking my eyes off of Eddie. Eddie threw a counter elbow at the same time, knocked me out.
Yeah, well, believe it or not, Andre, I've just watched it on the screen.
Watch what?
I put his name in. I've got it on the video right in front of me. I can see it.
So what?
This knockout you're talking about. I believe that's you. Were you wearing black shorts that night? Yeah, there it is. You were in the court. It happened in the corner. The referee's a black guy. Whew, that's a tough one. Yeah, that's on YouTube.
I didn't even know that was on YouTube.
No, I put the name Eddie McLean in, and there it is, heavyweight knockout. It's Muay Thai knockout by Eddie McLean, winning the British Heavyweight Muay Thai Championship belt. Andre, you win some, you lose some, mate. But that was at a difficult time for you, huh?
No, that wasn't true. It wasn't for the heavyweight title.
Oh, is it? Oh, for cruiserweight. Okay, so he's a heavyweight that cut. He's a heavyweight that cut down to cruiser.
Yes, he was. But the point is I looked across. If you watch the knockout, you'll see. But I took my eye off him for a minute, and he caught me with the shot.
Yeah. Look, it's gonna be a terrible attempt to show this on here, but you might see that now. Yeah, down he goes. Oh, that's sport for you. That's sport. You win some, you lose some.
You see that I took my eyes off him.
Yeah. Exactly as you described.
Thank you. I'm glad you said that because it will show to people that I'm not lying, and there's no shame in losing a fight. But the if you fought well, that is. But the point I'm getting at is that the point I was trying to make, which I strayed off from, is after the fight, no federation would take away my ranking.
Really? They all still had you as number one?
I said to Eddie straight away after the fight, I want a rematch. Eddie's response to me was, "Oh, I'm retiring."
Wow. You didn't have it written in a contract then?
Say that again?
There was no rematch clause?
No, there wasn't. But he refused to fight me after that fight. After that. And I don't know, maybe that was the reason why they kept me as ranked number one. I don't know. But I tried to dog him after that to get a rematch, and he just retired. Basically, that is his height of his career. That fight.
Wow. Well, Eddie's calling the number now. We've got him on the other line. I wish.
Really?
Oh, that would be great. We could. Would you take the fight if he was up for it? Have you laid that ghost to rest?
No. I would take it. I would take it.
Well, look, Eddie McLean, if you're out there, I know you watch this show. There's one rematch that you never had. Come on, let's have it. Yeah, no, that's amazing, man. Interesting story.
I didn't know that fight was online.
Yeah, no, I put his name. Well, it's obviously his claim to fame because I put his name in, and that's the first one that came up. So what was the second video? It's just a clip. It's that moment where he backs you up and you take your eyes off him and down you go.
Yeah.
That is.
Let me tell you something now. This is a brilliant point. You said something earlier on about pad work. Pad work. You can't judge a fighter by the pad because they need an 8-second clip. Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm with you, Andre. Loud and clear.
Hello.
Yeah, Andre, I'm hearing you. Go ahead.
Can you hear me?
We're hearing you. Yeah.
You said something earlier on, but you can't. You said you can't judge a fight earlier on by a little clip.
That's right.
Right, but what they've done with that is right. Well, if you see the whole fight, you'll realise why they've only put an 8-second clip up.
Well, unfortunately, this clip has been viewed 5,000 times, and it only shows 18 seconds of what happened. Oh, we've got someone watching in the chat. Dardasha is saying your timing changed. Lessons for life. Yeah. This is the late show. This is a relaxed, informal broadcast because we've got Andre McIntyre reliving the highs and the lows, the ups and the downs of what was an amazing career, and the rematch he never got. This was Eddie McLean's Andy Ruiz moment. But what would you have done differently in the rematch, just out of interest, or don't you want to say as it might still happen?
I think he's firmly retired, but I think I'll save that until I do my biography video.
Okay, well we're looking forward to that one. Oh man,
Yeah.
Andre, I said I wouldn't speak to you for long, and we've already gone over half an hour. I hope I haven't taken all your time. I appreciate you going down memory lane with us. When are you going to put this all together in a memoir? And will it be a video? Will it be a book? What will it be?
Both, I think.
Okay. And a play in the West End. Who would play you in a film about your life? Or would you have to play yourself?
Sorry?
Who would play you if they made it into a film?
I ain't got a clue, mate. I ain't even got that. I ain't even given it any thought, to be honest with you. I don't know if I'm not gonna lie. I've lived my life. A lot of people tell me my life has been kind of interesting, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure I've even given it much thought to think about. You sound like you're thinking of a film.
Yeah. I'm just trying to think who could pull it off.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we hear you, Andre. We hear you.
Yeah. No, so who could pull it off? I don't know. I ain't got a clue. I don't know, mate. You've got me with that one.
It's food for thought. Oh, Andre, I appreciate you chatting to me, mate. We'll catch up very soon.
No problem. Brilliant to chat to you as well.
Yeah, good work. Lovely.
And respect to all your viewers.
Much appreciated. Thank you very much. Good night, sir. Good night.
See you again.
See you. Brilliant. Yeah, there goes Andre McIntyre, former world cruiserweight Muay Thai world champion. It's funny that I found that clip online of Eddie McLean British heavyweight knockout, but it was actually at cruiserweight. Dardasha is claiming that she married a professional boxer. No, I think your husband must be exaggerating if that's what he told you. He's very, very amateur. Well, thanks for joining me, everyone. I hope you're enjoying the lifting of the lockdown and the more relaxed measures that we've got at the moment. Remember to stay alert and go back to work if you can. Mike Tyson is thinking about going back to work. I hope he doesn't do it. I hope he doesn't get hurt. There definitely should be an age limit on these things. Maybe he should take up chess or something like that. Safer sport. Well, this has been Lessons for Life. It's been a bit of an informal one. At a later time, we'll be back to the regular 10 p.m. slot soon. Thank you for joining me, and we will do it all again soon. We were here, and we're gone. Thanks.